morning. Welcome back. Donna and Steve at your service on MyTalk 1071. Everything entertainment. Got a special guest in the studio. We're talking about Jersey Boys.
Yes, of course. We've got Michael Brindisi, who is the artistic director, the president at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, the director of Jersey Boys. But we were talking, before we came on the air last segment, we were talking a little bit quickly about your history as a performer. And so set the stage again. You were, am I saying this right? You were a part of the first tour, the national tour of Grease, fresh off Broadway.
Yeah, it was actually the second national. But yeah, it was fresh off Broadway, directed by Tom Moore and Pat Birch, choreography, the original creative team of Grease on Broadway. And it was, I was 28 years old, and I'm 75 now, so it was a while ago.
Wow. Who did you play?
I played them all. I played Sonny, Roger, Duty, Kanicki, Vince Fontaine, but mostly Kanicki.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So
That's
wait,
awesome.
what do you mean? What do you mean you played? You just mentioned like 4 or 5 different roles. Were you off book for all of them?
So no, I was originally hired as the understudy. I was 28 years old.
Okay.
And the average age of the people in the company was like 19. So I was like the old guy.
Sure, yeah.
And and actually one of the more experienced actors. And so the two of us, two male actors that were at 28, and we had the ability to play the various roles. So that's I was actually read for Sonny the most, and but then I knew that I was going to be hired as an understudy. Then I played, so I got to do them all because the kids got sick. They had the flu and lost their voices.
Yep.
And so I get to play them all. And then eventually the guy playing Kanicki left the show, and I got to do Kanicki for the rest of the run. So it was really the time of my life. I got to see the whole country and play big houses, and we were stars. We would go into Chicago for 3 weeks, sit down in Chicago, and they would have restaurants that entertained us, and the Grease Company.
That's amazing.
We got free everything.
Oh my gosh. And cool too that you got to, it was a week minimum stay in each city, but very often turned into maybe 3 or 4 weeks. So what an interesting experience to plop down in a city and to know that you've got enough time that you don't have to rush it. You can go around and see things in your time. But then also knowing, then we're going to be on. I'm not going to get bored here. I don't have enough time to get bored here. I'll be on to the next city.
6 weeks in Los Angeles at the Pantages Theater.
Wow.
You know, so you get to look around for an agent.
Right.
Tour. I got to see the Opera House in Kentucky. I got to see Stone Mountain in Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
We just did everything. It was really great. I look back on it very fondly.
How does one make then the transition from being a performer to being, on the other side of things and directing people?
Because you need money.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
A little steady gig.
Yeah, I mean, it really is how it happened. I wasn't that castable, and I was castable as a greaser because that's what I looked like, and I was short. I was 5'8", and so. But like in terms of range, I didn't have that that range, and I didn't have the ability to do accents and like the kinds of things that get actors jobs. So I started directing at a very early age, actually in college, and started to score more jobs that way.
Okay.
That became my career.
How long have you
Grease
been at
was
Chan?
the greatest acting gig I ever had. I actually went from Grease to Broadway because the director, Tom Moore of Grease, then directed a Broadway show, and he liked me, and he saw me in numerous roles in the show, so he cast me in Once in a Lifetime at Circle in the Square, and I got to act with Treat Williams and John Lithgow and Jay Meadows Allen. And a lot of really famous people.
What a wild experience! How funny for you to, be rubbing elbows with these very famous people, accomplished in the world of acting on the screen and on the stage. And then I think on the other side of it, at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, where we here in Minnesota, of course, we love to, anytime we hear Amy Adams' name, we love to lay claim to it.
That's
and she was on stage. What production was she in at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters that you were involved in? She
was in four productions for us. But I first saw her in Colorado at a dinner theater in a production of Crazy for You. And I went with my choreographer, and I said, we're looking for a Bill Snipson, the leading male role. And at intermission, this friend of mine, choreographer, turned to me and he said, do you like anybody in this show? I said, I like that little blonde girl who's playing Patsy. It was a really small role. I said, she is funnier than heck. And also, I think she's gorgeous. And so I knew the guy that ran the theater, and I said, can I meet the girl who played Patsy? And we went backstage, and it was Amy, and she was, breathtakingly beautiful. And I said, hey, I'm going to be doing Crazy for You. And she then came out and played Patsy for me.
Wow.
And then she was in Brigadoon, and she was in Good News. And actually, she was in Brigadoon when she came up to me and she said, I've got an opportunity to do a movie. You need 5 weeks off. They're shooting a movie called Drop Dead Gorgeous in Minnesota.
Yeah, right.
And I said, you can go do it, but you have to come back.
Yes. And the understudy went, yes.
Right. Take it.
She made the movie, and then she came back and she said, Christy Alley had convinced her that she should go to Hollywood and get an
that's
agent.
what she did.
And that's what she did.
Oh,
and then,
man.
boom. And she's as sweet as can be. I mean, she still, when I run into her today or she calls, she's like down to earth, and she's the nicest person, and she's plenty rich, but she's really nice.
Right.
So good to know.
What a fun little story that is.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, by the way, I don't even know if we've shared this. Maybe we shouldn't share it publicly, Chris. I don't know, but I'll ask forgiveness, not permission. Does Michael know that I'm squatting at his table next Friday? Does he know that you gave that up? Well, I'm going to see the show next week. We got some friends that are going to come and see it.
It's so good, Steve.
We can't wait. I missed the first wave. We were out of town. We had all these commitments. My daughter was in a theatrical production of Matilda at Chaska Valley Family Theater. So the opening nights were running against one another. So I'm overdue to be back at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. But it's one of those places, and you've been there for a long time. And so you know what I'm talking about, that when you step through the front door, there is a coziness. There is a welcoming and a warmth there that is it's different. It's just different. And I don't know how many places there are like Chanhassen Dinner Theaters still existing in our country. It feels like they're few and far between.
There are a few that have that sort of homey feeling that you're describing. It's all Bloomberg. Herb Bloomberg, who built the place, the Bloomberg family. They wanted you to feel like you were home when you walked in. The first thing you see is the fireplace.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the patio is great, too.
Yeah. At Brindisi's Pub. I think I know the guy who named it after.
The world famous.
The world famous Brindisi's Pub.
Right.
Yeah, you print those words. Who's going to argue that? It's world famous. Well, he is Michael Brindisi, the director of Jersey Boys, which is on stage right now at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. So happy to have you here in studio. Thanks for making the drive in.
You guys are great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We love you guys. And here's what we're going to do to continue the fun. As we let them go, we will now shift into a game that is the College of Pop Culture Knowledge.
Yes.
Now, we play it every day at 10:30. And so, longtime listeners, you know the game that we're playing. But today, we have a Jersey edition of it. So we told Zamboni, just give us some sort of a Jersey vibe here. And I believe he's pulled it off. Michael, is this indeed a Jersey-themed College of Pop Culture Knowledge?
Oh, absolutely. We even have a little Chan tie-in as well. So it's going to be fun.
Oh, awesome.
There's your hint.
Michael, thank you so much
thanks.
for
We love
taking
you guys.
the time to drive up
Congratulations
here.
on the show.
Thank you. I'll look for you Friday.
Yes.
All right, we're back. Hi. Thank you for listening, you guys. It's Donna and Steve on MyTalk 1071. Everything entertainment, including theater.
Indeed, we are so happy to be joined in studio right now by the artistic director and president of Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, where Jersey Boys is on the main stage now. We just had a conversation about the pronunciation of his name. I'm going to say it in the traditional Italian. This is the artist formerly known as Michael Brindisi, but it is Brindisi. That's the Italian pronunciation, right, Michael?
That was perfect.
My gosh.
Brindisi.
Brindisi. And that means to toast or like cheers.
A toast, yep.
In Italian.
Yep.
Cool.
Donna, you should know that you have Italian family. You're from Jersey.
I never took an Italian course, though.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I know.
So you're Italian?
I got a little Italian, like a quarter.
Okay.
And Michael, she's from Jersey.
From Jersey?
I'm from New Jersey.
Okay, I know. I'm nervous.
I know. I saw the show. I saw Jersey Boys at the Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. I loved it. I sang along throughout the entire production.
Oh, great.
I forgot how many great songs that the Four Seasons had.
Now, here's the interesting thing. With a show like this, and Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, it's a jukebox musical, so all the hits are going to be there and people are going to be singing along. It's such a great vibe. That being said, the audience has an expectation of what it's going to sound like because of the very high bar, quite literally, that Frankie Valli put out there. And so when you are casting for a show like this, are you essentially just saying, all right, boys, give me your high notes before we go any further? How do you figure out the casting?
Yeah. Well, I was really blessed on this one because I was very nervous about casting this show because they got to become a group in 3 weeks. And these 4 guys landed from heaven. I mean, literally, they dropped into my lap. Will Dusek, who plays Frankie, just got out of school. He's 22 years old.
He's amazing.
And he's a vocal machine. And this kid's going someplace. I mean, remember the name Will Dusek because he's really excellent. And he had the whole sound. He came in with it. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then we have an understudy who covers him, who also has Andy High, who also has the sound. And I said, okay, this is gonna be a blessed production.
Wow.
My son-in-law is in the show. I mean, I'm having the best summer of my life. My wife was just in the Guthrie production of The Murder on the Orient Express.
We love your wife.
Yes,
Yeah,
she's
she's
fantastic.
Michelle Barber, she's fabulous. And Kat Brindisi, my daughter, is currently in a wonderful production of Into the Woods at the Guthrie.
Wow.
And David, as I said, her husband, David Darrow, is playing Danny DeVito in our production of Jersey Boys. And Sam Stoll, who plays Bob Gaudio, and Shad Hanley, who plays Nick Massey. These 4 guys are amazing. And I turned to my musical director several times and I said, have I given any notes on this production yet? Because it just took off by itself.
Oh, it's so good.
Isn't that great?
It is so good. I went with a friend of mine, a neighbor, and we were just like, oh, it's over already. It was so good.
What a great sign when people want it to keep going.
It's true. And, it is, as you said, Steve, a jukebox musical, but I don't think if I did give a note, this is the note I gave. I said, on opening day of rehearsal, I said, I don't think of this as a jukebox musical. I think of it as a play with music because I think the real surprising thing about Jersey Boys is the story and how well it's told. And it really is a play like Arthur Miller or Tennessee Williams. It's got that kind of black and white feeling, 50s genre, dive bars, diners, real earthy people, and almost a sort of black and white feeling to it. And when we got to the scenes, we were going, wow, that scene is like really well written. And so the story is, I think, the surprise. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, I knew the music was going to be great, but I didn't know it was going to be such a moving story.
Yeah, I did not. I won't spoil anything, but there is something that happens to the group as a result of one person's bad move. And I had no idea. I had no idea that happened. Either. And wow, what a comeback. But I have a question. First of all, how about the fact that Frankie Valli, a week after I saw your production, he got married.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's in the news all of a sudden. Did you put him up to this to help promotion of Jersey Boys?
I almost got a chance to meet him. We were arranging. He was in Chicago, and we were trying to get me to do a photo op.
Oh, that would have been great.
It didn't happen, but maybe it'll happen. The run's going to be till the end of February, so maybe I'll still get a chance to meet him. He performs. He's like the guy. He's like the guy says in the play. Yeah. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I keep going and going and going. And he's still performing. I think he's 90 years old now.
Yeah. He is.
I'm curious, when you have a production that goes on as long as it does, so when it sets up shop and you've got great demand for it and you got butts in seats and people are enjoying the dinner and the show and the whole thing, as a director, do you have to, tactically, do you have to gather with them every so often? Or once you get it up on stage, is the hardest work, I'd imagine, at the beginning, and then do you go hands off or do you have to meet with them after certain productions? How does it work during such a long duration?
Yeah, it's pretty much, that's a great question. It's pretty much hands off. The level of talent that I'm working with know how to take care of the baby. And they don't really need me very much. They'll come to me on occasion and say, something's not working at the end of the play. Can you take a look at it? And then I become involved. But no, the stage manager runs the show, keeps them on track, and most of them have so much experience. They keep themselves on track.
I have a question about understudies. How often will an understudy come? Like, they have to know all the lines, all the music, everything that the regular performer knows. How often do you use an understudy?
Well, hopefully not often. But everybody's trained, and we have it what we call covered internally. So I have a little larger cast than most theaters. Like I'll have somewhere between 28 and 30. On the prom, I had 33. And so we have enough people in there to do all the understudying and all the covering. And I like it that way because they get to see the person who's actually been cast in the role, and then they kind of go on that track.
Right, right.
And when the understudy steps in, the audience never knows it. It feels the same.
That's
and
amazing.
how important that casting for the understudy in this production of Jersey Boys in particular, because as we're thinking of who's going to play Frankie Valli and lead the way with such a distinct voice, and again, the audience expectations are what they are. That's a whole thing. Why don't we keep it? Can we keep you here just for one more segment?
Sure.
Okay, great. Because I want to talk with him. We're talking with Michael Brindisi, the bigwig behind Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, the director of Jersey Boys, as he almost chokes on his water as I give him such praise. But we were talking a little bit off air about his start. And and what he's done on stage himself as a performer and touring with the original Broadway tour of Grease. So I want to go back kind of on that journey and what that was like for you. And we'll chat a little more Jersey Boys. When we come back, it's Donna and